信じられない。それが真相だというのかい？
はい。私たちは見たままのことをお話ししています。
George folded his arms and started humming again. And the kitchen was once again absorbed by a long silence.
ジョージ様がにわかには信じられない気持ちも私はよくわかります。何しろこの目で確かに見たはずの私ですらあれが何だったのかわからなくなる。私は確かに見た。そして取っ組み合いまでしたはずなんです。なのにあれが全部幻だったような気すらする。
なるほどね。あのローザおばさんに詳しく話せないわけだ。今の話を本当にしてたらもっと面倒なトラブルになっていただろうね。なるほど。源氏さんが随分冷静な対応をしていたのが分かりました。
私にそれを説明するだけの力があればよかったのですが。
George had not actually seen it, so even when pressed to believe, he just couldn't imagine it. It was only natural, because even the people who had actually seen it had ended up questioning themselves as to what it was.
話を少し巻き戻すよ。シャノンはカノン君が偽物かもしれないと思った時、クモの巣を取ってきたと言ったね。どうしてそんなことを？
そうだ、それは私も思っていました。どうしてクモの巣だったんです？
前に熊沢さんに聞いたことがあるんです。大昔の六軒島には悪霊が住んでいて、そのクモの巣を恐れたって。それでクモの巣を魔除けと尊んで大切にしたという昔話があるんだそうです。それでそのとっさに私も少し混乱していたんだと思います。
そんな話が。熊沢はそういう昔話に詳しかったな。
雲は液中ですからね。確かにそういう信仰があってもおかしくないかもしれない。
きっとその悪霊の力をあの鳥居の祠が封じ込めてたんだと思います。そして霊境が割られたのでその力が蘇ってベアトリーチェ様を蘇らせる力となってしまったに違いないのです。私が心の弱かった私があんな大それたことをしなければ。
シャノン、その話はもうしなくても大丈夫だよ。僕は君を責めたりなんかしない。
Since long ago, Shannon had often hinted at a certain occult aspect regarding how she met George. While he did lend an ear to her tales, George had always thought that this was a typical of a girl, associating love with fate, chance, and miracles. George had thought that breaking the spirit mirror offered to the tourist shrine was going a little too far, but he had forgiven her, laughing it off as just a little prank she had done because she had seriously desired a relationship with him. Just breaking a mirror in some musty shrine wouldn't change the fate of our meeting. And that would never cause any curse. I remember cheering her up, saying it was only a musty mirror covered in dust.
ベアトリーチェ様という霊のような存在がいるという話はこの島に勤めるようになってからたくさんの同僚に聞かされました。最初はバカバカしいと思っていましたが、それを批判するとなんだか不謹慎そうな空気があったもので、私も表向きは信じているように振る舞っていきました。しかしまさか本当に
いたんです。ベアトリーチェ様はずっとこのお屋敷におられたんです。でも ベアトリーチェ様は力を失っておられて、私たちの前に姿を現すことができなかったんです。ずっといた。私たちが見えなかっただけなんです。
源氏さんの意見を聞きたいです。
私には何も意見はありません。一つだけ申し上げたいのは、私たちはあの時ここに5人いた。そしてカノンが勝手口から帰ってきたと思った。そして使用人室に運び、何かが起こって南條先生と熊沢が帰らぬ人となってしまった。それだけです。私たちは見たものをすでに全て説明しました。それを見ていないジョージ様に信じろというのはとても無理な話だと理解しています。
信じられるわけがない。あれは間違いなくカノンさんだと思った。でもあいつがベッドから起き上がって、そうこんな風にしながら胸の傷をまさぐり始めた時、こいつはカノンさんじゃない、誰か別の存在なんだと直感しました。ジョージ様にはわからないでしょう。よく知っていると思っていた人物が実は別人であることをさらけ出した瞬間の恐ろしさというものは説明できない。とても説明できるわけがない。
わかるよ。郷田さんがそれほどまでにショックを受けるどんな恐ろしいことがあったのか。
ありがとうございます、ジョージ様。
And they all went silent again. No matter how many times she was consoled, Shannon kept on crying, weeping that listening to the witch's sweet whispers and breaking the spirit mirror on that day had been where this all gone wrong.
君に囁いたという魔女はその鏡があると力を失うんだね。
少し説明してくれた気がしますが、よく覚えていません。あの鏡があると力が出せないというようなことを言っていたと思います。
君が割ったというその鏡はどうしたの？
覚えていません。多分割ったまま立ち去りましたから、そのままそこに残ってたでしょう。
ということは岩礁が雷で打たれて消えたとかいう時に海の底か。まあ拾って接着剤で貼り付けたところでご利益は戻らないだろうけどね。
私は本当になんてことを。
ごめん、失言したよ。
He didn't know whether Shannon breaking the mirror had already been what had started everything off. The servants didn't go so far as to blame Shannon, but it seemed that they believed that it had been the trigger. But even now, there was no way George could believe that much. Even if he was told a story about witches and evil spirits, it just sounded fake to him. And so, he listened seriously to Shannon's story, trying to find a hand that might relieve at least a little of the pain in her heart.
そういえばその鳥居にあったものとは違うでしょうが、北様がお守りとして霊鏡をお持ちになっていると聞いたことがあります。
夏日おばさんが？
はい、おじい様の形見分けか何かでもらったものだそうで、とても強い魔除けの力を持つ由緒正しい霊鏡だとかなんとか。
同じ話は私も聞いたことがある。鏡は良くないものを反射して弾き返す力があるのだとか。
その霊鏡があれば魔女のベアトリーチェに対抗できるかな？
When George proposed this, the servants looked up,
祀っていた鳥居と祠はもうないかもしれないけれど、霊鏡がもう一枚あるのは重要なことだよ。夏日おばさんの実家は神職にも通じていると聞いたことがある。それは本当に単なる鏡ではないかもしれない。
確か奥様は宝物箱に入れて大事にしまっているとおっしゃっていたような気がします。そんなに大きいものではないのかもしれません。
大きさの問題ではなかったと思います。私が割った鏡も一見大したことのない小さな鏡に見えました。
相手がオカルトならこちらもオカルトの手段で対抗するしかない。ただこうして座っていても何も解決しない。単なる気休めだとしてもやってみる価値はあるよ。
Of course, this didn't mean that George had accepted the witch. However, he thought it would be necessary to have some kind of purification ceremony to heal the wounds in Shannon's heart. So, this story about Nazi's spirit mirror was just what the doctor ordered.
行こう。魔女をやっつけようなんて大それたことは言わないよ。でも魔女から身を守る魔除けがあってもいいと思う。前にマリアちゃんに聞いたんだけど、おじい様の部屋の扉は強力な魔除けが施されているんでしょ。さすがおじい様だね。オカルトに対する防御も十分だったわけだ。行こう、夏日おばさんの部屋へ。
しかし奥様の部屋には鍵がかかっていると思います。マスターキーはローザ様にお返ししてしまいましたし、キーボックスのある使用人室も施錠されてしまいましたし。
ならばその鍵は夏日おばさんが持ち歩いているはず。礼拝堂にはまだ夏日おばさんの遺体があるはずだ。警察が来る前に勝手にいじってしまうのは悪いことだけれど、それについてはちゃんと説明しよ
う。しかし礼拝堂の入り口も鍵がかけられております。
ゴーダさんの腕力じゃガラス1枚割れないのかい。その辺の石で叩き割ればいい。
大切な礼拝堂の窓を破ってしまってもよろしいのでしょうか。
おじい様に怒られるときは僕が責任を持つよ。僕はもともと今日後宮家の全員と戦うつもりでいた。君との婚約を許してもらうためにね。だから元よりその覚悟はある。ガラスを割ろう。そして夏日おばさんの遺体から鍵を借りよ
う。It seemed that George's claim that he would take responsibility had given the servants a great amount of courage. Shannon and Gora glanced at each other, and then looked at George's face again.
オカルトに詳しいおじい様だもの。夏日おばさんの霊鏡の力だってきっと理解してくれる。大丈夫。怒られたりなんかしない。
奥様の鏡で本当にベアトリーチェ様をもう一度封じることができるでしょうか。
わからない。でも試す価値はあると思う。なら行こう。表はどんどん暗くなっちゃうよ。急ごう。シャノンは懐中電灯を、ゴーダさんはガラスを割れそうな道具を、ゲンジさんはすみません、傘の用意をお願いします。
はい。
The servants, who had been rejected by Rosa, started to move once again, having gained a new master. George, who was normally calm and gentle, was now exuding a commanding presence. Shannon checked the emergency flashlight. Just in case, she changed the batteries. Gora was examining several heavy-looking cooking tools. Normally, a self-respecting chef like himself wouldn't want to use them for anything other than their intended purpose. But now he was frantic to fulfill the orders of the one who he accepted as his master. After some deliberation, he took a large, weedy frying pan. Genji removed several umbrellas from the umbrella stand set in the corner near the back door of the kitchen. He took 3 of them.
ゲンジさん、
私はご一緒できません。ご用命の時に 全員がいないようなことがあっては後ろ宮家使用人頭として恥ずかしいことです。
そんな源氏さん、今のこの屋敷で一人でいることがどれだけ危険かあなたもわかるでしょう。
私はいけぬ。親方様からいつお呼び出しがあってもいいように
源氏様、
言ってジョージ様にお仕えするようくれぐれも粗相のないようゴーダ手本となるようよろしく頼む。
はい、お任せください。
必ずやお役目を果たします。
本当にいいんですね、源氏さん。
はい、私はもうこの年です。今日までの人生は全て親方様に受けたご恩をお返しするための日々でした。このような老いぼれがどうなろうと全てはルーレットの飯。私はどのような結果が出るのかをここに座って見届けたいと思います。
As Genji said that, he sat down, as though saying that he didn't intend to discuss this anymore. His gaze fell to the chessboard that he had played on with Nanjo. When George saw this, he decided to leave Genji there.
行こう、みんな。今は少し風もおとなしいみたいだ。
George took an umbrella and dashed out into the hallway, and Shannon and Goda chased after him, each holding a tool. After they flew out of the room, Genji quietly extended his hand to the side of the chessboard. He softly pulled something that was there towards himself, and hid it by covering it with his palm. Genji killed his breathing even more than before. Yes, it did. Something flashed gold. From inside an ice pail set on the counter, a small gold butterfly appeared, softly and silently. It was almost as though it had watched George and the rest leave, and was trying to secretly follow them. It happened in an instant. The gold butterfly, elegantly flapping its wings, was pinned against the wall by the knife Genji had thrown, just like a butterfly in a bug collection. After the gold butterfly beat its wings several times, looking like it was in pain, it accepted the fact that it couldn't break free, became fine gold powder and smoke, and disappeared as though dissolving into water. Genji's gaze was still lowered at the chessboard, as though nothing had happened. Maybe he would think up a brilliant move very soon. But no matter what move he made, his opponent would not be able to respond for all eternity. Even though he knew that, Genji searched for a brilliant move. It must have been the perfect way to kill time, during the short period before some fate would be given to him. He didn't know what result the roulette would bring about, but that decision would be made very soon. No one could interfere with the tumbling roulette ball. The door to the parlor was not only locked, but blocked with a barricade made of sofas and the like. So, until Rosa seemed to suspect that if a suspicious person appeared, it would be by breaking the window. Sitting on a one-person sofa, her back to the door, she continued to hold onto her gun. I didn't know what was what anymore, and so my body and mind wore out. I was just playing with Maria however she wanted. In Maria's words, Beatrice was testing us to see whether we could solve the epitaph of the gold, so we had to challenge this riddle. In the beginning, I had been a little interested and had tried to solve it, but I didn't have a clue what those word paragraphs even meant in the first place. I didn't doubt that there was some riddle to be hidden there, but I couldn't imagine that I would solve it by chance. And there is no room for doubt. We have lost this game. Everyone is gonna die once more by the end of the day, and I honestly don't know where things are gonna go from here. Beatrice said it herself that Beller hasn't quite given up his heart yet, fully, but there is no room for doubt that he is a mess at this point. So, might as well just sit inside the parlor and think of the epitaph while we're waiting for death. That's the only thing that we can do at this point. In the middle part of the epitaph, there were lines saying to journey to the Golden Land over the course of the 1st to the 10th twilight. On the 1st twilight, sacrifice the 6 chosen by the key. On the 2nd twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the 2 who are close. It was obvious that this hinted at the 6 murders that had already occurred in the chapel, and just Kankano's murders. If this was being followed, we would have to be prepared for yet 5 more people to be killed. On the 4th twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the 5th twilight, gouge the chest and kill. On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. The bodies of Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa Bachan hadn't been found. However, if we reasonably assume that they were the sacrifices of the 4th and 5th twilights, they would surely be found in a pitiful state, with their head and chest gouged. In which case, could we expect that 3 more would be gouged in the stomach and leg and be killed? Who would that be? I looked around the room, noticing that there were 3 people here, but how should I say it? My emotions seemed paralyzed. Strangely, I didn't find it terrifying. Maria noticed me, with my upper body adjusted to the sofa, gazing lazily up at the ceiling. Apparently, she felt I was slacking off in my real solving. She got mad at me and told me I wasn't being serious enough.
なあ、マリア。ベアトリーチェは確かこれを解いたらどうするって言ってたんだっけ?
I was sure that the witch had written her letter that she would give up on collecting their interest, or something abstract like that. I was optimistically taking that to mean that she would give up on killing the whole family, but was it really written with that meaning? I didn't really feel that solving this riddle would actually save us. I thought that even if we did solve it, that would be doing just what the culprit wanted us to, and it would be a wasted effort.
そんなことはない。この碑文が解けたら、ベアとの儀式はおしまいになる。だからもうそれ以上誰も死ななくなる。
Well, there is no room for doubt that solving the epitaph might end up being the only way to stop all this, but I asked this before, Maria. Why are you trying to solve the epitaph with us? If you were to solve it, wouldn't it mean game over for Beatrice? In which case, you wouldn't be able to go to the Golden Land. No. Maybe even if we were to just miraculously solve the epitaph here, we would still need to find the gold ourselves, in which case it would be impossible what with how much time we have left. Unless it is here on Okinjima. I mean, wouldn't that be funny? If the gold was actually right under our noses somewhere.
本当にか？そういうルールを奴が提示してるだけだろ。この謎を解けば多分じい様の隠し黄金のありかがわかるんだろ。奴はきっとそれを狙って。
おお、狙わないよ。
なんでそう断言できるんだよ。
黄金は最初からベアトのものだもん。自分のものを狙ったりなんかしない。
じゃあどうしてベアトは俺たちにこんな大ヒントを授けてくれたんだ？というかどうしてこんなゲームじみたことを仕掛けてきたんだ？
魔法にはリスクが必要なの。
リスク？よく意味がわかんねえな。
例えばマラソン。完走すれば誰でももらえるメダルと一番になった人しかもらえないメダルって同じ価値だと思う？
思わねえぜ。
Though it is true. The reason why Kinzo made it like this was so that there is a risk of someone finding the gold. That and Beatrice is fucking with us because she is a 1,000-year-old witch who gets bored easily, so there's also that.
つまりなんだよ。結局奴は遊んでるってことなのか？わざとこっちにチャンスを与えるようなことをして。違う。それがね、魔法というものなの。どんな大きな魔法にも絶対にリスクや弱点があるの。ないといけないの。魔法って言われるとピンとこねえが、ギャンブルだって考えれば少しは理解できるな。でかく失う覚悟がなきゃでかくは勝てない。そして勝ち目の薄いギャンブルであればあるほど配当はでかくなる。その通りだよ。だからベアトは儀式のリスクをちゃんとみんなに説明したの。だからこの謎を解けばちゃんと儀式は中断される。だってそれを約束違反したらリスクにならない。これを解けば奴は本当に約束を守るのか？花は枯れるのにどうして美しいの？造花は見分けがつかないほど精巧でもどうして美しくないの？人間は死を賭すから奇跡が起こせる。不死の人間がいたとしてその人物に何の奇跡も起こせる道理はない。私たちも人生も魔女も儀式も、私たちはリスクを負わなければ何も成し遂げられないの。謎が解けたらどうするんだ？ピンポーンって鳴らして挙手して回答を魔女に伝えて答え合わせをするのか？それは知らない。でも解けばきっと自動的に儀式は終わる。マリアは詳しいな。そいつはみんなベアトリーチェに習ったのか？うん。
So, if you don't bear risk, nothing can be gained. That is doubtlessly the way of the world, but it was in conflict with the chessboard theory style of thinking that I liked. A moving chess is always a search for the best play. That minimizes the risk, and promises and promises an advantageous turn of events. You don't trust your plays to chance, like in gambling. That's right. There's no room for gambling in an intellectual game. And yet, this person called Beatrice was carrying out such an outrageous crime. Or maybe in ritual. While purposely imposing conditions for our own laws and announcing them to us. In chess, you always play the best move. So by standing in your opponent's position, you can predict their next move. However, you can't say for sure that Beatrice's moves are always the best moves. I thought she was probably making us focus on the epitaph as a smokescreen, to mislead us about something. But Maria said that of all things was impossible. She said that this was a genuine risk that the witch had taken, and therefore proved that this was formal magic ritual. I cannot understand this witch called Beatrice. She must be committing this chain of murders with some goal in mind. So why would she deliberately expose the conditions for her own defeat? No matter how I flip over the chessboard and think of from my opponent's perspective, I cannot understand why she would give up if this riddle was solved. Isn't it almost as though Beatrice doesn't care whether she wins or loses? Or rather, maybe deep down, she wants someone to solve the riddle. Maybe we can argue that Kenzo made that epitaph for his magic to succeed, but maybe us winning would be in some way beneficial to Beatrice somehow. Still, it wouldn't really make sense that she is giving it her all to make us lose, though. If I'm to think that maybe something tragic happened with Kenzo and Beatrice in the past, and that Kenzo trapped Beatrice on this island, stuck with eternal boredom, maybe Beatrice is looking for that one miraculous event of some sorts. Of someone, like anyone, succeeding in solving the epitaph so that something will happen. Something that we don't know of yet. But in which case, why not help us in solving the epitaph? Now, maybe it's because something is forcing her to keep her mouth shut. So the only thing she can do is leave this condition behind and make us suffer through these games of hers. Maybe. It's natural that chessboard reasoning wouldn't work if you played chess against an opponent like this. I don't understand. What is Beatrice after that's making her commit this crime? If she just wants to massacre us all, she could just do it secretly without this whole crazy setup. There was no need for that scrupulous advance notice, dramatic suggestions of locker rooms, or anything. It's all over-dramatized. I don't get the point at all. True. If she wanted, she could have just killed everyone lickety-split and get it done with, but no. We are doing red truths and blaming each other. And hell, even in the first game when we didn't even have Battler facing off Beatrice in a game of interdimensional chessboarding, she left us time to think about culprits and such. Again, could be that it is because she is so bored she wants to have fun by making us all suffer, but maybe there's more to it. I don't know. Back when Kanon was facing Beatrice and was trying to protect Jessica, Beatrice told us about the ways a woman can get hurt, and she said that the thing that hurts the most is to betray a woman's hope. I cannot help but think that, combined with what she was discussing with Shannon on the beach, and that moment in the garden with her and Kinzo, that maybe behind this cruel, demonic, psychotic witch, there was originally a woman who got betrayed. I mean, again, possibly leading to something tragic that might have happened between Kinzo and Beatrice many years ago, which has led to Beatrice's death. Like, I wonder. That, or I am being a fool for thinking such things of one of the most despicable killers I ever seen till now. And I'm staying here thinking about this stuff, knowing that soon the day will end, everyone will die, and there's nothing else to be done besides looking at this stupid epitaph thousands and thousands of times, not knowing what to do with this. I mean, even if we are to figure out the location of the goal at some point, then what? Are we just gonna take a plane and then whoosh, we go to, I don't know, Heaven Lake? Or America? Or Buffalo fucking Egypt to find the gold? Like, how? We cannot even do that while the typhoon is still there. I mean, we cannot do that. Unless, as I mentioned before, the gold is right here on Rokkenjima Island. In which case, every single little thing I thought of when it comes to the epitaph, like looking at the maps and the meaning of the words, was basically for nothing. I mean, not quite. Whether the goal is here in Rokkenjima or somewhere else in the world, I still need to find out where Kinzo's hometown is in order to, solve the epitaph. So, I'm still gonna need to find out the location of his hometown, I think. In which case, where could he be, I wonder? Where could he be? As long as I continue to think of Beatrice as a greedy human culprit, will I be unable to understand anything? If I don't accept her as a witch, will I be able to even set pieces on the chessboard at all? If she really is a witch, and everything Maria has said is true, then there's only one thing we should have been doing. We shouldn't have bothered with any of the reasoning on the Discord or searching for the culprit. We should well have gathered in the dining hall and pooled our knowledge to solve the riddle. If we had pooled the knowledge of that many people, maybe we would have been able to at least grasp the thread of the answer. We greedy humans, desiring to gain something more than one another, never pooled our knowledge, and were being offered up as sacrifices one by one. In the end, were we humans getting what we deserved? Well, you have one point there, Beller. If we all combined our minds, we might be able to solve it. I mean, come on. The adults have all their businesses. Some of the people in this family I see as pretty darn smart. Kirie, Beva, Kraus. And they have history with Kinzo. And if they didn't know Kinzo's hometown, they would be able to figure it out easily through means, like someone like me wouldn't have in the first place. I mean, then again, who is to say they didn't attempt to figure out the epitaph before the adults died? Hell, maybe the reason the Twilights had a common thing of targeting the adults the most was because Beatrice knew that the adults have a bigger shot at figuring out the epitaph. But what would that mean in that case? If the adults are not allowed to solve the epitaph, then someone else has to. Those who have the likely chance to survive. Like Battler? Huh. We thought we were thinking, but we were actually thinking only for our greedy selves. In the end, chessboard theory is a technique of thinking where you project yourself on your opponent. So greedy people look inside their opponents and see their greedy selves. I looked vaguely at Auntie Rosa. She was probably tired from being under all this tension the whole time. She wasn't sleeping, but she was continually staring vaguely at some point off in space. Auntie Rosa had proclaimed that she couldn't trust anyone who had not been killed. Auntie Rosa's chessboard thinking saw herself inside her opponent. In other words, Auntie Rosa might be an isolated woman, unable to trust anyone, unable to let her guard down. Long ago, I think I heard a bit about it from my dad. Auntie Rosa had originally been a very obedient child, but because her age was so far separated from her other siblings, and because her confrontational siblings had often made conflicting demands of her, she had been going through psychological hardship ever since she was young. Apparently, when she had taken the side of one sibling, often another gave her a hard time for it. Certainly, Auntie Rosa hadn't said many things today that could be taken as abusive language. But those were words that had been engraved into her vocabulary because they had been showered upon her as well. The many abusive words that she had spoken were also the same abuse that Auntie Rosa had been showered with in the past. Now that I think about it, I had the feeling that her style of speech today has had occasional traces of Uncle Kraus and Auntie Eva in it. I just assumed the similarity came from being siblings, but maybe that wasn't the case. For the first time, I was able to sympathize from my heart with Auntie Rosa, who I had come to think of as a being only gentle. Then, what about Maria? Maria had been claiming something for a while. If we could solve the riddle that the witch had presented to us, the ritual would be halted and we would definitely be saved. And I think she also said that Beatrice would never break a promise she made. So, that describes Maria herself. She's the one with the most innocent heart, who would never break a promise. So she believed that Beatrice wouldn't break a promise either. She could believe that. But wasn't that just an image of Beatrice that Maria imagined? There's no proof that real Beatrice definitely keeps her promises, right? Yeah. Maria is a very impressionable child. Everything Beatrice says, she consumes it. So, again, who is to say that the Golden Land is the beautiful place that she imagines? I mean, I myself came up with the analogy before that the Golden Land sounds like heaven, but really, it could be hell. Except it's plastered with yellow everywhere instead of red.
わらわは約束は守る。碑文の謎を解けば黄金鏡へ至ることができるだろう。さすれば儀式は終わる。それ以上誰も死にはせぬ。
That is, if I am to truly believe that everything you say in red is the truth. But until I find out something that contradicts your red truths, I guess I'll believe them. So, fine. You keep your promise. But who is to say that you didn't lie to Maria about many other things, Beatrice?
お前みたいな怪道の極みがルールを遵守するってのかよ。
わらわが残忍で卑劣で外道であることを否定はせぬ。だが、わらわは魔女だ。魔法を使う。魔法を使うには守らねばならぬルールがある。 わらわは魔女だからこそ、それをないがしろにできぬのだ。それだけは信じるがよい。
So this is the actual reasoning behind it? That you are bound to these rules because you are a witch? You are bound to these rules in similar fashion to how you are bound to this island? Is that it?
これだけめちゃくちゃやってきて、それでもルールだけは信じろってのかよ。
わらわはたぶらかしはする。もちろん人も騙す。人間と変わらぬ。だが、約束として口にしたことを保護にしたことは一度もない。人間はどうか、約束を必ず守るのか？
約束を守ろうなんてキャッチフレーズがある以上、ちゃんと履行されてるかどうかは疑わしいな。
わらわから見れば、人間の方がよっぽど利己的で下道な存在よ。人間の約束ほど疑わしいものはない。
But you understand, don't you? There is a reason for us to be doubtful. Humans can be selfish, and promises can be broken, so it's only fair to suspect that anyone can break their promises. Granted, you are a witch, and therefore you're gonna tell us that you never break your promises, but maybe it's because I don't know all the rules that govern you witches, or maybe because you also have human traits that make me think that even a witch, such as yourself, would be capable of breaking promises. Maybe that's why I still keep thinking that.
わらわも時に人間と契約するが、くだらない願い一つ叶えるのに、どれほど厳重に取り決めをするか想像もつくまい。少しでも隙があると、連中はすぐに叶える願いの数を100に増やせとか、小さな豆粒に変身してみろとか言い出す。
親父によく言われたぜ。契約書ほど怖えもんはねえって。よく読まずにハンコを押すやつは、骨の髄まで喋られて当然だって言ってたぜ。悪徳で荒稼ぎしてやがったんだな。
察しろ。人は生まれながらに詐欺を知りはせぬ。どこかで被った。だから覚えた。押し付け合わずにはいられぬ人の世の罪か。はて、どこの魔女に聞いたやら。まあいい。そなたが思っているほど、わらわも無慈悲ではないぞ。
I mean, you have the tits to say that when all you have done till now has been nothing but heartless. Even if you keep your random promises.
嘘をつけ。これだけの大勢を、しかもまたこんな残酷な方法で殺しておいて、何が無慈悲ではないだ。約束は守るだと？いい加減なことを言うな。俺はお前を認めない。断じてそれを譲らないことだけがお前への抵抗だと俺は信じてる。
Yeah. That is back to his usual self.
なるほど。永遠の苛波であるのは、わらわに対しても同じであるというわけか。かもしれぬな。1000年は長い。魔女の強さは魔力より我慢強さで決まるのかもしれんな。なるほど。ベルン教の恐ろしさもうなずける。
Burn.
何をわけのわかんねえ話をブツブツ言ってやがる。さっさと永遠の苛波とやらを続けろよ。俺は1000年でも1万年でも付き合う覚悟だぜ。
よいよい。少しは戦う気力も戻ってきたようだな。
Yeah, I mean, what else should we do anyway? Just keep blabbering to each other about magic and human tricks, like you two are a bunch of old married couple or something. And I'm the uncle in this.
そうでなければつまらない。ほら、対戦ゲームでもよくあるだろ。乱入したけど相手があまりに弱くて拍子抜けで、わざと負けて最終ラウンドまで延長させて、最後に本気でフルボッコにすることとかってあるだろう。
例えの意味がわかんねえよ。
What? Are you into RTSs or something?
ワインと同じよ。よく熟成させねば輝かぬ。
It is interesting that Beatrice has the knowledge of such things, if she's truly thinking about modern gaming.
お前はそれに耐えられるワインだ。
I mean, what do I know? She's a witch. Maybe she has the power to see into the future.
わらわがじっくり熟成させてやる。そなたをわらわの優雅な時間を彩る最高の美酒に育て上げてやるぞ。だからこの程度で屈服などするな。わらわを引き続き否定してくれよ。何しろわらわはそなたが認めぬ限り儚き幻想に過ぎぬのだから。
Alright, Beato. You're on. You may have won this game, but there's plenty more where they came from. I cannot wait for what kind of surprises you're gonna bring upon us in the future. Although I am being serious when I say that we're already getting tired of closed room murders and keys. Be more creative next time, goddammit. Alright, let's try again. There has to be some clues around here that we're missing. Something that can help me. Like murder weapons, something that the killer left. Anything that the deceased had on them that could help. Let's see. Nothing. What to do? What to do? This chapel, it was specifically built by Kenzo. Definitely for Beatrice, no doubt, but for what purpose? Is it really for the possibility that maybe one day he would have the chance to marry Beatrice? Like the others mentioned? If so, then surely the ceremony kinda defeats the purpose, since everyone dies and no one will get to use it here. Granted, it is easy to imagine that Kenzo built this back when the mansion was created as well, long before he thought of creating this ceremony through the epitaph. Maybe he initially thought that one day he might revive Beatrice, and get to marry her without having to do this ceremony. But now that all this is happening, the chapel is rendered useless. However, the fact that Kinzo ordered the servants to still take care of the chapel even these last few years means that there is still purpose to this chapel. I mean, does he seriously think that maybe if he survives and gets one of the 4 treasures, he will reach the Golden Land and be all, "Yay! I'll choose you, Beatrice! Now let's get married!" In which case, maybe the chapel's importance is not its use prior to the ceremony, but maybe after. Maybe in the Golden Land? In which case, maybe the Golden Land also has a chapel like this one? I mean, what do I know about the Golden Land anyway? Nothing. Is it literally a world where everything is yellow gold? Is it really like heaven, like I initially thought back when I was thinking on the epitaph and the whole Heaven Lake thing? Is it hell? Or is it similar to Earth, except everything is gold? In which case, maybe Kinzo created the chapel for the sake of there being a chapel in the Golden Land as well. If someone created a statue here, there will be a statue there as well. If someone created a zoo for animals around here, there will be a zoo filled with golden creatures in the Golden Land or something. That could be it, right? I mean, it might seem to be in similar vein to the Witcher's World with the parlor, except here on Earth it is normal looking, and there in the Witcher's World it is all purple and such. Yeah, maybe it is as easy as that. Maria kept talking about how everyone would be happy in the Golden Land. So it's not far-fetched to think that Kinzo would want to marry Beatrice in the Golden Land, in this chapel there. What do you think, God? Jesus? I mean, we're all dealing with witches and demons around here, so what do you have to say? I cannot say that I am that much of a religious person. I do not know what the procedure is. I mean, it's not like I have any priest around here to talk to and confess my sins. And I doubt that this chapel was ever used for praying or baptism or something, but it is a religious-looking chapel, so I assume that this could still be a good place for people to pray, to talk to you, God. Jesus. Nah. This is useless. I doubt that I'm gonna get any answers like this anyway, but if you were to give me a sign, like anything, I would be grateful. Like, what is happening here? What is the purpose of all this? Is this all secretly hell, and everyone is paying for their sins by playing these chessboard games over and over? If we solve the mystery of some of those murders and found out that it was done by humans, what is that going to help us with in the grand scheme of things? If we solve the epitaph, is everything truly going to turn back to normal? And Beatrice will leave us alone? All of this is something I never thought I would ever experience. Like, every case that I have been a part of before Rokkenjima had its elements grounded in reality, with technology and normal human tactics used in murder, and normal human deduction skills used to uncover said murder. I guess I could argue that the last killing game I had been a part of was quite different than the rest, but this? Like, is this all a virtual world, maybe? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. if this keeps going like this, if things are going to turn out much more difficult than it already is, then maybe she was right. Everything I have been a part of prior to Rokenjima truly was childish games in comparison to what I'm going through. How am I supposed to think through all this, I wonder?